Football fans are some of the most ravenous sports fans out there. There is something about the sport that seems to rile up its following more than baseball or basketball or really anything else. I mean, you've seen the super fans like Fireman Ed of the New York Jets or Detroit Don who follows the Lions every weekend at Ford Field. You just don't see that kind of passion in other sports. And it is hard to say exactly why, but for whatever reason, football fans can just take fandom to a whole other level. I for one think it's the gridiron mentality of football. Every Sunday, your favorite team's players trot out there and lay their bodies on the line, crunching hit after crunching hit, all for the pursuit of glory. And regardless of whether or not the fans themselves are aware of it, the physical sacrifice that these players make out there is a big part of why football has such an intense following. What NFL players put their bodies through week in and week out is insane. We see concussions here, blown out knees there, spines, necks, you name it, it has pretty much all happened on a football field. No one likes to see this stuff. But unfortunately, in a violent game like football, it is unavoidable. One battle wound that has come up recently, but albeit far from the first time, is graphic dislocation injuries. But it goes a step further than that. NFL players are so tough, they sometimes pop the bones right back into place on the field. Sometimes even during the play. Here, we're going to look at some of the most impressive feats of resilience and toughness on the football field ever, by checking out 5 times NFL players had their dislocated bones pop back into place right on the field. We should remind you that some of these clips might make your stomach turn a little. But you clicked on the video for a reason, so without further ado, let's dive in. If this is your first time coming around TPS though, subscribing is a great idea because we put out videos like this every single day. Number 5. Patrick Mahomes pops his knee on Thursday night. I don't know that there has been a recent injury that NFL fans were so unanimously devastated by. 2018 was his first year as a starter, and to say that Patrick Mahomes took the league by storm is an understatement of epic proportions. As a 23-year-old, he threw for over 5,000 yards and notched 50 touchdowns, en route to winning NFL MVP honors. That by itself should have been enough to captivate NFL fans. But with Mahomes, it was more than just the gaudy numbers that he had put up. It was the way he did it. The electric touchdowns on the field. The way he would buy his receivers time in the pocket. And once he saw the slightest window, he would rocket the ball down the field. The sum of Mahomes' parts has been one of the most impressive starts to a career that the NFL has ever seen. And of course, the other reason NFL fans of all franchises love Mahomes, he and the Chiefs look to have far and away the best chance to unseat the Patriots in the AFC, which I think most NFL fans outside of New England are hoping for. Anyways, the point is people love to watch Mahomes play, so they were gutted when he got injured on a largely inconsequential 4th and inches QB sneak on a Thursday night. As you can see, the star quarterback was withering in pain until the training staff quite literally popped his knee back in, right there on the field, and the cameras were there to catch it all too.
And it's like they almost popped that right knee back in place, and it was the right knee in a lot of pain.
It was good to see him able to walk off the field under his own power, but damn is it disappointing to see that happen to a guy like him. The good news is MRIs show that Mahomes didn't suffer any ligament damage. Just a dislocated kneecap, which still sucks, but at least it's not a season ender. Number 4. Byron Jones takes matters into his own hands. Byron Jones isn't necessarily a game breaker in the same way that Patrick Mahomes is, but he too has been a great player in the league. Not only that, but he's progressed each season since he entered the league back in 2015, earning Pro Bowl honors for the first time in 2018. Although the accolades weren't necessarily always there, Jones certainly had a reputation around the league as one tough cornerback. This necessarily shouldn't come as a surprise though. He was a first-round pick despite having gone to the University of Connecticut, which is not exactly a football powerhouse. But what Jones really has in common with Mahomes is that both of them dislocated their knees. Jones's happened during his rookie season against the Jets in a play that pretty much cemented his reputation across the league as a hard-nosed defensive back. If you watch the play closely, you will see Jones making a sprawling tackle down the sideline before struggling to get back up. He looks down at his knee only to realize that it actually was out of the socket, just like Mahomes's. This guy must have some insane pain tolerance though, because instead of flailing in pain or motioning for the trainers, he just grabbed the leg himself and popped it right back in.
There's Fitzpatrick giving it up, throwing on the run, and he's got Enunwa with his 16th catch of the year.
And then he continued to play. I simply can't imagine having the wherewithal to do that by myself on the spot. Number 3, Lions trainers jam Reggie Bush's thumb back in on live TV. Reggie Bush had an interesting pro career to say the least. Granted, it didn't exactly live up to the hype that surrounded him when the Saints drafted him number 2 overall out of USC. But let's be honest, no one could have matched that. His play during his college career was so dynamic, he was basically touted as Barry Sanders 2.0, which kind of set him up to fail. That being said, he did have a very respectable career in the NFL NFL that lasted 10 years, and saw him make more than a handful of insane runs he was known for in college.
By rookie Greg Toller. Here's Bush on 1st and 10 from the Cardinals 46. He stays on his feet. Spectacular run by Bush. And Reggie Bush takes it all the way.
And most importantly, we saw him play a big role on a Super Bowl winning team down in New Orleans. Bush's exciting running style aside, one of his most memorable moments actually came when he was donning the Detroit blue, not the New Orleans black and gold. The incident came during the 2013 season. It was week 1 and Bush, who had just inked a 4-year deal with the Lions, took the field against the Vikings. He had a great game, putting up over 190 total yards. But in one particular run, Bush came away from the play jumping in pain. During his career, both in college and pros, Bush always battled his fair share of injuries, but this one looked particularly nasty. His thumb got bent all the way back and dislocated by the tackler. But rather than leaving the game, Bush ran straight towards the training staff, and the cameras actually caught them popping the thumb back into its socket. Hard to imagine that this is the same guy that ended up saddled with a Hollywood mentality. How could anyone think that Reggie Bush was soft after watching this video? I mean, the dude hardly missed a beat and jumped right back out there for his new team. Number 2, frantic Odell Beckham gets his finger popped back in. Speaking of people that have garnered some resentment in the media and amongst fans for having a Hollywood or diva type mentality, do you all forget that everyone's favorite lightning rod OBJ also had the most excruciating pain on national television? The incident came before the famous boat controversy and before the Giants ever shipped him off to Cleveland. It was week 4 of the 2017 season, and OBJ and the G-men were squaring off against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Giants were driving deep down their own territory when one play called for Beckham to run a comeback route down the left side of the field. The throw came in a little early, and he had trouble timing it and hauling it in. As the pass caromed off his fingertips, he at first looked shocked that his usually flawless hands couldn't catch the ball. Then he quickly realized that his finger had been jarred loose from the socket, and he began jumping around in pain frantically. He ran over to the sideline with the fade of his finger literally hanging in the balance when the Giants training staff surrounded him. The cameras caught a glimpse of the huddle, and it looked like they were having an intense conversation. The conversation was then followed up by one of the trainers taking Beckham by the hand. All while he continued to prance around in circles, the trainer quickly popped the finger back into place. Check out this clip and tell me if you think that OBJ looked comfortable with the situation that was going on. In case you were wondering, yes, Beckham remained in the game after all that. Having your finger popped out of its socket by a pass, popping it back in, then going back out there and catching more passes doesn't sound like a whole lot of fun. But OBJ toughed it out and did it anyway. So next time someone tries to tell you that OBJ is soft, remind them of this often forgotten moment from the Pro Bowl wideout's career. Number 1, Thomas Davis pops finger back, makes tackle. Remember when we just talked about unhuman displays of toughness? In 2015, during a game between the Carolina Panthers and the Seattle Seahawks, Thomas Davis personified toughness. Seahawks running back Marshawn Lynch, who himself just so happened to be one of the toughest running backs in the entire NFL, broke a run towards the sidelines. Davis diagnosed the play well and tracked Lynch down to make the tackle.
It's a screen right side to Marshawn Lynch. Lynch to the 30. Lynch hit and blasted down.
Now this in itself would have been a very nice play by Davis. But this is the NFL, and these are some of the best athletes in the world. So what about this mid-October tackle that was so legendary that we still are talking about it 4 years later? Just watch this. The Seattle lineman did a great job getting downfield to try and put a block on Davis, but the Panthers linebacker easily shed his block to continue his pursuit of Lynch. But if you look closely, you'll see Davis's hand get tied up with the blocker, and he winces as he breaks into the open field towards Lynch. Then the craziest part happens. In just a matter of seconds, all while running towards the man known as beast mode, Davis realizes that his finger was dislocated and is hanging off of his hand.
They knew the screen was coming.
Let's go. Let's go. I hit the lineman. My finger came out of place. I popped it back into place.
Without breaking stride, he pops it back in himself. Then tracks down Lynch and brings him to the turf.
Popping a finger back into place mid-play is the stuff of Ray Nitschke and Dick Butkus.
That is without a doubt one of the most insane plays you will ever see on a football field. It has the fundamentals, the grit, and the execution. I mean, in what other sport do you ever see someone doing something like that? Maybe hockey? I'm pretty sure if this happened to a basketball or baseball player, they'd be out for a few weeks, maybe months. So next time you're at a bar and you hear people whining about how today's football players just aren't that tough, maybe show them this video. And if they have half a brain, they'll reconsider. What other gritty, joint-popping moments should we have included in our list? Join us in the comment section below. Make sure to subscribe to myself and TPS on social media. We post great content all the time. If you did like this video and learned a thing or two, make sure to hit that like button. We do appreciate it. If this is your first time coming around TPS though, subscribing is a great idea because we put out videos like this every single day. Once again, thank you guys for watching. I'm Joe Biondo. I'll see you next time.